Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the NBA slate for Friday. We have 9 games tonight. Happy Friday to everybody. Hope you guys had a good day yesterday. It was a fine day of NBA hit and everything on FanDuel, and DraftKings cashed on some as well. I'm in PA, so I can't play prize picks yet, but I can still post some picks there. And did go 3 for 3 if you watched the updated video with the over on Westbrook's points, over on Christian Wood's fantasy, and over on Anthony Davis's fantasy. So they don't have the board out up to date yet, so I'll probably post them on Twitter later today, or if I have to I don't know if I'll have a chance to make an updated video, but if I do, it'll be out there or on Twitter. And let's get into it. So if you enjoy the videos, appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. All the other info is in the description. And let's get started with the point guard plays today. So we have some piece of injury news already, like Russell is out once again. That's going to make some of these Timberwolves people look pretty appealing, especially like BEVERLEY, BEASLEY's appealing, and then you have the two big dogs, Cat and Anthony Edwards. Curry is 11-4. The price tag is pretty expensive, I'd say. I really like playing Curry when he's like 10K, but 11-4, you need close to 70 at that price tag. You need at least 66 to just get you, and that's not even 66, isn't even 6x at that price tag. So it's a little bit too rich for me when we have some other good studs that are a little bit underpriced. Harden against Detroit. I haven't been playing Harden a lot at all this year. I don't really want to do that against Detroit because there's a chance they could easily blow them out, and then Harden, Durant don't play the fourth. Ja Morant's 94. I like the matchup here. It's a good spot against the Wizards for it to be just a high-scoring type of game. Morant's been a little bit slowed down in his last few games in terms of just fantasy scores. 39, 47, 39. He started out the season really, really hot, but it's like it was unreal how good he was early on the season. His price tag has kind of jumped because of that. I think he'll still come down a little bit in like the high 8K range by the time the season is over. Like De'Aaron Fox is a guy that you're still getting a good price tag on him. He just hasn't been productive at all this year. Can't buy a 3, although he did hit 2 out of 3 last game, but shooting 19% from distance, 38% from the floor. Still being aggressive, taking good shots, and taking a good amount of shots and getting the assists, getting the rebounds. Ultimately just not been getting the production. It's a matchup against Charlotte. They give up a lot of fantasy points, so I don't mind taking a shot on Fox today. CJ McCollum is 81. Probably like to get to another point guard instead of paying that price tag for McCollum, or if I do play McCollum, I wouldn't want to utilize a point guard spot for my play him at shooting guard. Then the 7K and under range, you have like Rozier at 67 against the Kings. Coming off a dud, he'll be super low owned, and I think PJ Washington is doubtful, so just one less body in that rotation. Under $6,000, right in the 6K range, you have like Garland and Sexton. The Cavs are going to be without Kevin Love and Markkanen again today, so you'll see these guys just play a ton of minutes. The Cavs ran a super tight rotation, and they have been all year, so you shouldn't expect anything to change today. Below 5K, you have Cade Cunningham, who finally had a good game, although he just shot 4 of 17. But put up 39 fantasy points, got to the line 10 times, and he got 10 boards. They held him out the other back-to-back, so I wouldn't be surprised if they held him out tonight on a back-to-back. We should get that news early on in the day enough. If he plays, I really like him at that price tag. If he's out, then you'd expect Josh Jackson to get a big bump at $4,500, possibly draw the start. So he would be a good value play. But right now I'm going with Patrick Beverley. He's only 4K. He played 30-plus minutes, and on the season he's been well over a point per minute. Now that he should get over 30 again today, just without D'Angelo Russell, and given the matchup. Flirted with a triple-double last game, and he should be productive enough to pay off a 4K price tag. Even if he gets like 25 fantasy points, that's more than 6x right there. At shooting guard, yeah, Bradley Beal is 95. Like some of these superstars are struggling with shooting the ball this year from distance. Like Beal shooting 24%, Lillard is shooting low 20s. Maybe it's the new type of basketball they're using. They haven't got used to it yet. But I expect Beal to be able to pay off that sort of price tag most days. It's a little bit rich on a 9-gamer when we have so many other studs, but he's a good tournament option. I like Anthony Edwards, $8,500. He's just going to be super aggressive without D'Angelo Russell out the ball in his hands to do a little bit more playmaking with the assists. We all know he's not afraid to shoot the shots. He's going to take 20-plus shots. He's taken 20-plus shots every single game this year except for one where he took 19 against Denver. He's just always aggressive, and he's been super solid in terms of providing you with 40 fantasy points in every game except for one against the Nuggets on the 30th. He's 85 is expensive, but there is a big ceiling there without D'Angelo Russell. So Edwards is my preferred option over Van Vliet. now that Scotty Barnes is back and over McCollum. Karis LeVert is only $6,800. That price tag is really nice for a guy that ended up playing over 30 minutes in his third game back. He's always a productive player. It was a tough matchup against the Knicks, and the Pacers just ran away with that game, winning by 13. Now matchup against Portland, who on the season been below average defensively. It's a late night game, so you can kind of get one of your pieces of your late night hammer with Karis LeVert at a very good price tag. So you can play him at shooting guard or small forward. Chris Duarte's 56. Probably just like to get up to LeVert in that situation. Sexton, and you can play Sexton at 64. I see no problem with that. Hopefully Brandon Ingram plays today so we don't have to deal with too much of these Pelicans wings. But if he's out, then you would be looking at like Graham and looking at Josh Hart. Beasley is $4,400. He got the minutes but wasn't super productive. Just he was hitting his shots but just didn't get any sort of peripherals. 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Not really going to get the job done. He has a chance to play more minutes today just without Russell, so he's still a good option. Although you do have a number of plays in that range, like it's Cade Cunningham if he does happen to suit up, but Josh Jackson will be a good play. You have Kennard, Joe Harris, Terrence Mann from the Clippers side, still without Morris. So those guys, then you have Derrick Rose, only 42. You have Bledsoe at 42 as well. Like Rose, good tournament option. He can, if he's playing well, like he'll end up closing, knowing how Tibbs runs his rotations. Moving on to small forward, LeVert. I should go back to it. Just put LeVert in for now at shooting guard. We can mix and match if we need to. Small forward, Durant's 10-6. Paul George is 10-4. I prefer Paul George. He's just doing everything. The matchup is a lot better just in terms of pace and in terms of just being an overall higher scoring type of game. Last time they played the Clippers, that game was a 241 total. Paul George did his thing once again, 32, 8, and 6. He's one of the best spend-up plays on the slate. Now, Paul George, he's right up there with like Karl Anthony Towns, right up there with Giannis, although he's expensive today at 11-8. Brandon Ingram's 81 if he plays, that's fine. Bridges been doing everything all year for the Hornets. Like he's been so good. And I think PJ Washington is doubtful. We can check on that. If he's out, maybe just a couple of extra minutes. Yeah, he's doubtful. Extra minutes for some of these other wings and some of these other forwards. So I like Ingram. I like Paul George. I like Bridges. OG's getting up there in price now. I'll probably take the $1,200 savings and go to Scotty Barnes now that he's back. And then in the other guys in the 6K range, nothing really there. 5K range, you have Desmond Bane, Josh Hart if there's no Brandon Ingram. 4K range, Norman Powell had a great game. He's 47, played 32 minutes. He's always a great shooter. And then you have Nicolas Batum, 46. He's been shooting the ball really well. I don't know how much sustainable that is. But he's getting the minutes just without Morris, and he's only 46. He can be super productive given the matchup. So a lot of good cheap options here at small forward. You even have Beasley, Kennard that you can take a shot with. Moving on to power forward. The top end, you have Giannis. He's 11-8. He's not one of my favorite spend-ups today. The matchup is just tough against the Knicks. And you have like Paul George, $1,400 cheaper. You have Cat, $1,100 cheaper. You have Durant, $1,200 cheaper. I'll personally get to those 10K guys before I get to Giannis, who's touching almost 12K. And looks like Drew Holiday will be back today. Sabonis, 93. Now that LeVert is back and now that Brogdon's back, well, yeah, both guys are back and healthy. Like, Sabonis can still be productive, but he's not been getting a lot of assists this year, which has been surprising. And Miles Turner's been doing a lot more than usual. Like, Turner's been having some big fantasy games. Usually Turner just does nothing. That's why Sabonis kind of cooks. But if they have like 3 other guys are being productive, I think it'll be a little bit tough for Sabonis to return value every single night. So you can go Brandon Ingram if you wanted to do a pay up here. Mobley played 40 minutes. I think he's a good option today just because they don't have Markkanen and they don't have Kevin Love. So you get some minutes alongside Jarrett Allen, and then they'll have to like split some time there, and he'll get some minutes by himself at center. But ultimately, 40 minutes for a guy like Mobley, who's averaging a little under fantasy point per game this year, but he can be super productive in the matchup. Isn't the worst one in the world against Toronto. They've been good defensively, but they've been giving us some fantasy points to teams, and like going up against like Achua, maybe Birch. I think it's a spot where the Cavs centers can kind of destroy. So I do like Mobley, even though he is at a expensive price tag. And then for some of these cheaper routes here, Jaren Jackson Jr. is only 56. I think that's a great play today. Good spot against the Wizards in terms of just being a high-scoring game. if Jaren Jackson doesn't get into foul trouble. I think he'll end up being super productive in this one, just because he's going to be able to get some blocks and steals, get some rebounds, and he should have some open looks to shoot some threes. So at a good price tag, given a great matchup, hopefully he comes through tonight. Right now, he's going to be one of my favorite mid-range plays at power forward. And then for the cheap plays, it's BATUM at his nice price tag at 46. And then Doug McDermott can be productive at 38. They are without Jakob Poeltl again. And also you could potentially look to Thaddeus Young, who is he's kind of expensive at 53. Moving on to center, we have Cat Giannis at the top end. I kind of like Cat today. He struggled a little bit shooting the ball last game against the Clippers. I think just without Russell, there's just so much usage for Cat and Edwards. One of the two is going to have a huge game, if not both. Valanciunas 87. We'll kind of look to take a wait-and-see approach if Brandon Ingram plays or not. That's going to make an important difference here. And the Warriors have gone small sometimes, and they play like Draymond at the 5, so that might be a little bit tougher for Valanciunas there. Just Draymond's a good defender. But I'm going down. I think you kind of have to take a hard look at Jarrett Allen today. He ended up playing close to 40 minutes again. 40 minutes against the Blazers, put up 24 and 17. His second monster game in a row. They just don't have any other big guys, really, that they want to play big minutes. They do have big guys, but the coach just loves to play Allen and Mobley 40 minutes when they're shorthanded. So they're shorthanded again today, missing Love and Markkanen. They want to get to at least one of Allen, and I think you want to get to at least one of Allen and Mobley, if not both of them. So going over to the guard position, you can pay up for another one of these superstars here if you wanted to. I think going to like a utility spot, going with Cat would be a good option here. I'm kind of deciding between Cat and Paul George right now, depending on some of the other pieces of news that we get. I think both can have good games here. I think Paul George might be a little bit more popular. I tend to side with like big centers in that situation, but we'll see how the day goes on. Maybe we'll get some more news, and you might be able to fit both of them in there. Now going back to forward here, you have like Wendell Carter, who's been productive this year at 64. He looks a little bit better on DraftKings. Even on FanDuel, he's at the same price tag. But on FanDuel, Mo Bamba's like the same price tag. Probably look to get to a bit of an expensive option here, like whether it be Scotty Barnes making his return, or go into Mobley, just a guy that's going to play 40 minutes tonight and can be super productive. Allen and him should be able to have success in that front court matchup. So we might be able to do better as the day goes on. But right now, I like getting to both of these Cavs big guys. They're just going to play huge minutes. And then you have Towns, another big center in a appealing spot in terms of pace. Then you have LeVert and Beverley kind of round out a little bit of an early core. So that's it for the DraftKings side. Let's talk about FanDuel. Okay, for FanDuel here, they have a ton of options on this slate. Like, there's so many different ways to go. You have cheap studs with, like, Steph Curry is only $9,800 on FanDuel given the great matchup. You have James Harden at 10K. I probably like Curry over Harden. And then I like Curry over Ja Morant. And you have even cheaper guys in the 8K range, like Lillard at $8,500. De'Aaron Fox is only $75. I'll probably be a sucker for that price tag again. But you even have like so many cheaper plays today as well at the position. You have Colin Sexton at 64. He's going to be in a good spot. But I probably prefer like Darius Garland at 59. Going to play big minutes. Reggie Jackson had a huge game last time out against the Wolves, and he's super inexpensive. Rozier is still at the same price tag, 55. Given Washington's doubtful, a little bit less of a deep rotation in that situation. And Rozier plays close to 35 minutes a night in close games. He's productive. Only guy I don't have too much interest in is Beverley, given how many other guys we have in great spots, and the fact that he's 5K. So I like Beverley on DraftKings. And then you have like Bledsoe is cheap, but I'm not going to play Bledsoe when you have so many other plays. And then if Cade Cunningham does play, he's only 42. He would be a guy I wanted to get to. But right now, just give me Darius Garland. 59 for a guy that has a ball in his hands a bunch. Gets you a chance to get you a double-double. Not that it matters on FanDuel, but just going to be able to make some plays today and plays big minutes. Shooting guard Paul George is expensive at 10.8, but he's still a great option given how much he does. You can play him as forward as well. I like Anthony Edwards at 8K. Shooting guard is a little bit easier to pay down because you have so many good options here. Still like LeVert, even though he's 7,000. But Gordon Hayward looks great at 65. He gives you 40-point upside at a very cheap price tag. He'd be my favorite 6K option. And then you have a bunch of other guys in the 5K, whether it be Reggie Jackson, whether it be Terry Rozier you can plug in for now at 55. Just super inexpensive for a guy that does give you upside and can get super hot shooting the ball and just put up like close to 40, if not more than 40 fantasy points. Then 4K range, you have like Beasley. It gives you some upside at his price tag. And Josh Jackson would be a nice play if he starts in place of Cunningham if they hold him out on a back-to-back. Small forward, Giannis is a little bit more in play at 11.3. Now that he's just 500 more than Paul George and just 800 more than Durant, it's a different story on DraftKings. But I like Edwards in the mid-range at 8,000. He's been awesome all year. Great spot to continue to be productive without D'Angelo Russell. You even have like Gordon Hayward at 65. I'll probably end up getting to Hayward at that price tag. Rozier and Hayward are just underpriced on FanDuel given their price, just like given how productive they can be and how many minutes they do play. And then cheaper routes here, like if you go in the 5K range, you have nothing that looks too crazy. Like Duarte's at a good price tag. Hart if there's no Ingram, but I don't see myself forcing any of those guys in. 4K range, Beasley, he's at a nice tag, even though he comes off the bench, but he could be productive. And like that's mainly it for the main pieces. You could take a shot on like Kennard if you wanted to. Power forward, you can get up to Durant or Giannis. They will be my favorite spend ups. We have some other good tags, like Jarrett Allen is up to 75, but he still gives you big upside given the fact that he's going to play huge minutes today if he's not in foul trouble. Mo Bamba, I like his price tag 65. You can make a case for Carter. And then Mobley's only 62. I'll end up getting to Evan Mobley at that price tag on FanDuel. And then for the cheap plays, if you needed any, it would be Thaddeus Young at 46. Should play mid-20 minutes off the bench at least, and he can be productive. And then Drew Eubanks, if you wanted to play him, I don't want to pay 44 for a guy that might only play like under 20 minutes. And then you could go to McDaniels from the Hornets, just without Washington today. And at center, you have a good price tag on Cat. He's only 10-2. Good chance to drop like 50 plus, if not 60 plus. Allen would be another guy that I'm looking at. Basically, Cat, Allen, and Mo Bamba are my favorites, given their price tags. Or even have Steven Adams at Steven Adams is 47 on DraftKings. I forgot to mention him. He's a great play on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, I'm not going to pay 59 for Allen. Just give me Cat at that price tag, 10-2. Without Russell, I think he can be super productive. So that's it. You go with a couple of Cavs that are underpriced on FanDuel. Garland and Mobley. A couple of Hornets underpriced. Rozier and Hayward. And then go with the stud and Cat for your center. Still leaves you with 64.25. So you're able to pay up for another stud or two. And that's about it for the video. Let's see if PrizePicks kind of updated their board yet. Still haven't posted the fantasy score, so can't really talk about too much here. I like to look at the fantasy score, and then they're going to post some more games here. But let's just look at the rebounding. We could take a shot on Mobley if it's cheap enough. Allen is at 12. Mobley's at 8.5. I'll probably take the over on that. But I'll have more picks out later in the day. But thanks for watching. Best of luck tonight, and I'll see you all next time.